So, welcome to the Limits to Growth lecture 25-26 in the winter semester. My name is Benjamin. I'm running the research group that is mostly focusing on sustainability and computer science, or the intersection of both. We'll come to that in a second. We'll first do a little bit of organizational stuff. What are the different lecture parts? What exercises should you do? Can you do? What to expect of this course? Where can you find resources? And so on and so on. So let's get started. First of all the courses that we teach are completely open source. And therefore, all the material that we produce is completely open source. So if anyone would like to run away with the material, please feel free to do so. Everyone can use it if you have some friends or if you know someone around the globe who would also like to do a sustainability lecture and needs some material. This is the link to go. You can find all our slides there, all the videos, all the exercises, and a lot other stuff. We'll have that disclaimer on every slide so that people who do not see this video and don't know that I've said what I just said, that they also know, okay, this is open source and everyone can use it. So, quick intro to parts of our research group. My name is Benjamin. I'm running the research group now for pretty much exactly 4 years. Chintan is with me as well. He's going to be one of your main points of contact for this semester. He will do quite a few of the exercises and Q&A sessions with you together. He will also be your main point of contact if you have any questions. And the third person somehow being involved if there are like any major problems is Anand. He's been with me also for 4 years now. So that's the team that will be available to you. Just trying to somehow maximize the screen, but that doesn't work, so we're just going to continue. Yeah, so that's the team. That's our research group, short ETCE, long Emerging Technologies for the Circular Economy, not to be confused with a master's computer science course that has exactly the same name. We do, as I already said, mostly research at the intersection of IT and sustainability. So pretty wide field that could be everything from AI in recycling, but also biodiversity monitoring, how can we use less resources, how can we use existing resources more efficiently. Mate somehow being involved in our research group, having a field of interest in the direction of 3D printing, but not just printing to substitute broken pieces, but also, for example, producing filament from old PET bottles. So essentially everything where you can take the hammer of digital technologies and use it as a tool to solve some problems that are somehow related to sustainability. We'll also get to this term circular economy as part of this course, but that's something for later sessions. One of the main fields of research that we're doing is sustainable and resilient food production. We'll also get back to that throughout the lectures as a running case. The other 2 bullet points more like being general statements what we do. We also offer other courses, namely this semester requirements engineering primarily for master students, but I don't really care what you study. If you're interested in requirements engineering, feel free to join. The course started on Monday, but the same setup as here. We record everything, or everything is pre-recorded. So if you missed the Monday lecture and still would like to become a requirements engineer, feel free to join. And in summer semester, we offer this ominous course, Emerging Technologies for the Circular Economy, also primarily for master computer science or digital technology students, but in the end, feel free to join if you like. Anand is right now working on a major upgrade to that course, so if you found the old versions boring, maybe the new version might be more interesting and better. I know you cannot click on the link to our website right now, but you can download those slides later and then you can click on the link. There we'll find more information like course materials, what research projects we're working on, do we have any open positions to fill? At some point you might need to do a thesis and you're looking for thesis topics or bachelor, master, seminar projects. You can find information on those topics on our website. And I also linked some, admittedly now slightly older videos there. They're unfortunately only in German, but they also illustrate some of the stuff that we are doing or did in the past in some kind of a nice YouTube video. One is a documentary and the other one was created as part of a prize ceremony thing where we had to talk about our research. If you want to join us, drop us an email, but please don't do it right now because until the end of the year, we do not have any open positions, but that might change in January. So if you're looking for a position in January or February, feel free to drop us an email after Christmas and then we can take it from there. So what is this course now all about? I know some of you are here voluntarily, others have to be here. So we have a good mix. For everyone who has not fully dived into the website yet, what is this course all about? So one of the key topics of TU Clausthal, of this overarching research theme of the TU Clausthal, is the circular economy, which is a sustainability-related concept. However, all the basics, like what is actually, for example, climate change, how do you find climate change? What is environmental pollution? What is the difference between weather and climate? All those basic things, they are not taught in any of those courses here at the university. So this course is supposed to fix that. It's supposed to teach you those foundations. That's like the first part, that you can explain someone what does it mean to be sustainable. Like how would you define sustainability without saying, yeah, I should use less plastic or I should eat less meat. That would be more sustainable, but that's not the definition of sustainability. So those are some parts. Then we will also introduce and define and better understand what this omnious circular economy is, and then we'll further dive into some implications of climate change, environmental pollution-related problems. And towards the end, we will look into different building blocks of a potential solution for a sustainable future. So I'm not claiming that we have the solution. If you just do X, Y, and Z, the future will be great. That's definitely not the promise of this lecture. And it could also be that those building blocks that we're gonna look at might not be the building blocks that in the end will ensure or guarantee a nice and sustainable and worthy future, but they are promising building blocks. So first part, foundations, and then second part, looking into problems and potential solutions toward them. When we come to the lecture schedule, we'll also see that we have a lot of invited lectures, to not just having me talking here, but also experts from different fields who can then provide either more in-depth perspectives on certain aspects, or have nothing to do with academia and just give you a completely different perspective on something that has nothing to do with this university. What should you have achieved, or what should you be able to do after you've completed the course? So first of all, you should have an understanding of basic concepts like what is this circular economy, what is sustainability, and everything that is somehow related there. You should have gained the basic understanding of causes, dimensions, and the characterizations of climate change, environmental pollution, resource scarcity. You should also be able to have nuanced discussions about those topics, because usually there is no easy answer that, for example, says battery electric vehicles are good and combustion engine vehicles are bad, and if we just all buy a lot more Teslas, then the future will be green and bright, because usually it's more complicated. So you should be able to make those high-level transdisciplinary assessments and explain the pros and cons and implications of certain decisions and how different concepts are related to each other, because it's not just one thing that you need to change, it's a highly complex system that needs to be changed. And you should be able to critically assess and talk about those topics. So this is not the usual course we just lost. Now we're back, great. So the microphone has the same problems as last year, that sometimes it just disconnects. We have talked about that to the Rechenzentrum, to the IT center of our university, I don't know, probably 40 times, and they promised 40 times that they have fixed it, but here we are. So sorry about that, we'll have a better microphone next week. Anyway, what did I say? Critical assessment, being able to critically discuss things and so on and so on. You have the slides. I think I made my point. So, wait, it's not your usual 101 math course where at the end you should be able to add up 1 and 1 and 2 and 2, and you should know the difference between addition and division and multiplication. This is a more interdisciplinary thing where we're gonna touch a lot of different areas that you somehow have to connect and understand those connections among them. Now we have our lecture plan, our lecture schedule. So today, 6th of November, org and introduction. Then we'll go through some challenges of the 21st century. And you can already see some of those courses have additional annotations. MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Course. We'll have some more information there on the next slides. But essentially, whenever it says MOOC, it says you should go to our website that you already saw in the .ip announcement, or that I can also just tell you right now, or that Chintan can write in the chat, ltg.etse-lab.de. Chintan is looking at me like he's never heard that address, and he's booting his computer now, so okay, then I will just type it myself later, but it'll also be on the next pages. So LTG, limits to growth, ltg.etse-lab.de. You will find all those recordings that we're making here, but also those pre-recorded massive open online course content parts there. And whenever it says MOOC, it means go to that website and watch that specific dedicated video. Sometimes those MOOC videos are your homework. This is usually the case when you have one live lecture here with us, and then there is a second lecture scheduled. So lecture 3 and 4 would be a good example. We're gonna meet here, do lecture 3 in person, lecture 4, MOOC content being your homework. You please watch it in preparation of the subsequent lecture that we're gonna do live here again, okay? If it is just a separate entry, lecture 10 and lecture 7, then it means no live lecture. You can stay at home, drink your coffee at home, and watch the video at home. So 2 different meanings here. That's why I differentiated them as MOOC at home, where you really stay at home, and as a MOOC homework. That's the main takeaway here, besides the dates when you're supposed to be here and when you can stay at home. You can also see that we have various invited lectures starting already at the end of this month. Lecture 5, Anni Melkonian-Gottschalk is coming and talking about circular economy. Lecture 10, David Inkerman is talking about life cycle planning. And then lecture 13, we have someone talking about alternative economic concepts besides the capitalistic system that's caused us quite a lot of pain and suffering. And then in February, we have Gabriel coming to us, or at least joining us online from the Cat Farm, a sustainability project in the south of France, which already inspired quite a few students before you to actually show up there and spend a few weeks or a month at the Cat Farm. So those are talks that I can really recommend. The Cat Farm talk might not be exam relevant, but all the other parts are also exam relevant, so please don't discard them because it's other people than me giving those lectures. We also have exercises, not too many, 3 of them being single-person exercises that you have to submit as an individual entity, and then the last 3 exercises being group exercises. Whenever you have any questions regarding exercises, Chintan is your person. I have nothing to do with those exercises. No, of course, like if there's a problem, please also talk to me, but Chintan has designed the exercises. He put a lot of thoughts and effort into those exercises, so he's your main contact person for everything exercise related. Good. course website, as I said, ltg.etce-lab.de. You will find news and updates there. For all the students from Clausthal or from the Ostfalia who can log into the Clausthal StudIP, we'll also leave announcements there or write emails there. For everyone who is not Clausthal or Ostfalia, I am aware of at least 2 Göttingen students. We will keep you up to date by our separate means, so please check out the website or please watch the videos, then you will get most of the news. Anything else we'll also directly communicate to you if necessary. If there are more than 2 people from Göttingen who already contacted me up front, then please now use this opportunity to also write us an email today so that we are aware of your existence. We cannot keep you posted if we don't know that you exist. Good. The slides will be uploaded or are already uploaded to our GitHub page. You can just click on that link. You can also find that link, if I'm not mistaken, on the course website or on StudIP. Otherwise, Chintan would probably be very happy to also post the link to the Limits to Growth GitHub teaching repository in this chat. And if you're somehow missing it, then just contact us. Finally, we are at least 3 people working on this course, so we would really appreciate to not get the same email with exactly the same question to 3 of us, but rather seeing all of your emails at this special purpose email address, which we are gonna monitor together. So please don't contact us directly. Please use this email address whenever you have any questions, because then you know that 3 people are gonna look at it and essentially answer or send you a reply or an answer as soon as possible. Therefore, we're gonna ignore all emails that are sent to us directly. Please use this special purpose email address. Thank you very much. Good. I briefly mentioned this term MOOC, Massive Open Online Course, before. Just a really quick intro what that is. Some of you might have been in touch, especially maybe the computer science related students, with such courses that are offered by Udacity, Coursera, EDX, and so on. Like there are many, many formats like that, where you have hundreds, if not thousands, of people attending a single lecture. Some of those lecture parts are live streams. Most of the content is pre-recorded content, but not a 90-minute stretchy video, but rather like short condensed video parts. Then you have some text to read or an exercise to do, a coding task or some kind of multiple choice questions that really just focus on the previous video so that you can check, okay, I understood that. And then you move on to the next topic, next video, then once again, a task, exercise, test, and so on and so on. The main advantage of this being that you can get access to courses from people that you otherwise would never be able to listen to in terms like as their students, or you would never have the opportunity to have as a teacher. Sure, I might not be that famous, but I still hope that people benefit from this offer. But for example, when I was a bachelor student, Udacity was just starting as a massive open online course provider. And there were people like Peter Norvig, one of the godfathers of AI, teaching some really cool beginner courses, or Steve Huffman, one of the co-founders of Reddit, essentially teaching you how to build a Reddit-like website in Python. Extremely helpful. I would have never had the opportunity to learn from those people, and don't want to talk trash about my old university, but I probably learned 80 to 90% of my coding skills, which then later earned me money from those courses and not from my old university. So it's an extremely nice offer where you can distribute knowledge quite widely and make it available to people who otherwise would never have it, because otherwise all those courses offered here at this university are essentially paywalled. You can only come here if you're enrolled as a student and have the opportunity to be here in Clausthal, Goslar, or Wolfenbüttel. And at best, they are recorded and you can watch them on StudIP. Otherwise, you really have to be there in person, and like a lot of knowledge that could otherwise be distributed is lost. So this is why we're playing with this concept of a massive open online course, not the whole course, but at least parts. We have pre-recorded in front of our green screen downstairs in our offices, have it being cut down into small, nice pieces. If you have any feedback on those aspects, please let us know. Also, if you have any feedback in general about this course, please always let us know what's good, because if we don't know that it's good, we might remove it. But also, of course, what you would like to do better or differently. We're changing this course pretty much every year, or at least parts, aspects that we thought are not quite as good as we would like them to have. So leave us feedback. It's definitely not going to impact your grade in a negative way, so just be honest and tell us, I did not understand this. This doesn't make any sense. Why was this part in the lecture? Can you make this better next time or explain it in a different way? Then we'll happily like to do that. I already covered that by accident before. So we have those special MOOC parts. If it says MOOC at home, you can watch it at home. If it says MOOC homework, you also watch it at home, but in preparation of the next lecture. Just for completeness, the normal lecture time slots. So usually Thursdays, 2 p.m. We're going to meet here. We'll also try to start on time next time. And then usually we have a 90-minute lecture. So you can either be here in Goslar at the GoTech, or you can watch the BBB live stream, or you can later watch the video. Exercises at 3:45 or exercise and Q&A. So 15 minutes break after the lecture, and then, I don't know, usually like an hour or a little bit less. Also here live at GoTech or streamed. We are not gonna record those. If you record them yourself on your screen, that's up to you, but we're not gonna upload them to YouTube. Today we are probably gonna take a little bit longer than the actual lecture time because we're doing org and introduction, but we do not have a dedicated exercise or Q&A, so we will be here to answer all your questions after we're done recording, but it's not like we have a proper exercise planned. That will take a lot of time. There is a small exercise homework for you, but also super easy stuff. Talking of exercises, we already said that you either have to do individual work or group submissions. The submission of each exercise is mandatory. That sounds really, really harsh, but it's not that bad because you pass by submitting an empty page. Sounds really stupid, but we are experimenting with different formats. So we are providing exercises that are related to the lecture content because we think that it makes sense that you do them. They are, like, we have a plan with those exercises. They somehow tie into this bigger vision for this course. However, a lot of you, or not, that might be too mean. Some students still have this tendency of not really wanting to do the exercises, and especially the type of exercise that we're trying to integrate invites you to, if you don't really want to do it, just use ChatGPT and give very low quality submissions that we have to then grade and work through. So if you don't want to do the exercises, you don't have to keep us busy by reading through your unwanted submissions. So if you, for whatever reason, come to the conclusion, I don't want to do the exercises, that's fine, that's up to you, you're all grown-up people, then please just submit an empty page, then we know you're still there, but we also don't have to waste any precious time that we could put into making this course better by reading ChatGPT bullshit. So that's why we have this quite lenient approach. You have to submit every exercise. There's also no good excuse to not submit an empty piece of paper within 7 days. Death might be a good and only acceptable excuse, but you can start essentially now submitting your empty pages and you're covered for the whole semester. So it's a super simple rule. It's very, very lenient. It's very, very easy. So you have to submit every exercise, but it can be an empty piece of paper. Whoever is not doing that will not be eligible for the exam and will have no discussions about that unless you have been in a plane crash or you just have been resurrected like Jesus and coming back from the dead, okay? Good. For those of you who decide to properly do the exercise, of course you will receive feedback. I'm once again pointing to Chintan. And the exercises are supposed to essentially on one hand provide you learning feedback, but also intensify your relationship with the theoretical topics that I'm talking about in the lectures or the invited lecturers. Some exercises require you to submit your work. You will have links to where to submit it in the exercise sheets, but also on the website. The password that you need to use to upload your submissions is listed there, but also on the exercise sheets and on the website, so you don't have to write it down. We do not accept email submission, even for the external students from Göttingen, even they should be able to use it, right, Chintan? Good, Chintan is nodding. So I'm just repeating what Chintan just said because he's not in reach of the microphone, so just follow the link, use the password, and even the people who are not enrolled at the Ostfalia or Clausthal can submit their exercises there. Please use a proper naming scheme, because if we just get eo1.pdf, we don't know who you are and what this is. So put a correct file name there, and also if you want to be sure, in case there are multiple maxes there, you could also put your name and university or student ID in the submitted exercise sheet. That makes stuff a lot easier for us. Thank you very much. Most of the exercises are interactive PDF, or like the submissions contain like an interactive PDF where you have to fill out a form. Chintan will also show you an example later in the Q&A session, but it should be quite self-explanatory. So you have a task and they have a field where you can type in the answers or whatever question we ask, and then you can just click save and submit it. For group submission, we strongly encourage you to use the Q&A session so that you don't just run away as far and as fast as you can after the lecture is done, but rather use the time that since you're already here, at least parts of you, and do the group work right away, then you're done and can enjoy the rest of the week without having to think back to that annoying exercise, which you have to do. So this is just like a brief walkthrough, probably doesn't need a lot of explanation for the submission instruction. This is mostly for you to go back to the slides to have like a step-by-step guide. So you click on the link, then you should get a website that looks like that. You type in the password, you select the file that you would like to upload, and then, to no surprise, you click probably a upload button if I'm not mistaken, and you should then get a confirmation what file was uploaded. Some exercises contain a bonus exercise. Some of them are very simple and facile, sometimes also fun. They are, as the name suggests, not mandatory, but there is a nice incentive. If you submit all bonus tasks, and they are not rubbish, but proper submissions, and empty submissions don't count for the bonus task, then you get a one question during the exam that you can skip without being penalized. So either you know that you are a genius and will get a 1.0 anyway, or you could think about doing the bonus task and save one really mean question. Which then leads us to the examination. Prerequisite, submit all the exercises. And then we're most likely gonna do an oral exam. The written exam is just a backup in case too many students show up and stay with us. So 45 students is our registration count right now. Assuming that not everyone is really going through with the course, we are probably gonna do oral exams again. So that means 20-minute discussion with us about the topics of the course, most likely online via BBB. So even for those students from Göttingen, you don't have to come here. And also for everyone else, no matter where you live, we can just do it online. Most likely between the 4th and 6th of March, you will get time slots. If suddenly 100 extra students show up who did not register on StudIP or who are from Göttingen, then we might have to reconsider this decision and maybe go for a written exam, but thus far we always manage to do oral exams, and we also would like to do oral exams again this semester because they are essentially the best way of having a chat with you about those topics instead of just writing down questions for you to put on paper. Note for external students, there has been in the past some kind of confusion that was mostly caused by our examination office with respect to whether you can take an exam at TU Clausthal if you're part of a different university. They made some of the external students register as guest students or whatever, which costs money. Sure, you can do that if you like and if that has any extra benefits for you, but from our perspective, you just do all the exercises, you are eligible for the exam, and then we do the exam with you. And whatever your examination office, for example, in Göttingen needs from us, I will just sign it. If you pass the course, then I will sign whatever you need. That says limits to growth, 5 or 6 credits, this grade, and this name and the student ID, great. So from our perspective, you don't have to register at TU Clausthal as a guest student. If that gives you any other benefits, that's also an option. We just wanted to make this statement so that you don't have to pay for this course. I mean, we're offering everything for free, so don't pay any money if you don't have to. Good, some final notes. Some slides have a so-called self-study star. This is content that is not relevant for the exam, but that we felt might still be interesting to some of you and which we also find interesting. You don't have to learn it. On the other hand, it's also probably not bad if you want to impress the examiner and still know about the self-study stuff. So read it or ignore it. Those slides are not mandatory, but rather optional. There's also a longer list of literature that is somehow related to the content of this course. Important note here, you do not have to buy any of those books. You also do not have to pirate any of those books. Those resources are essentially just additional content that you can dive into if and now the mouse died. I'm absolutely fucking thrilled. Does anyone have an extra mouse? Yep. Oh, shit. Yeah, then let's do that. Now it briefly works again, but it's getting... So for everyone who did not hear us, for whatever reason the system muted me and then the mouse ran out of battery. So excellent, great setup here in this lecture hall. We'll also try to make that slightly better next time. What I was saying is you don't have to buy anything. You can use those extra resources to dive deeper into certain topics, but none of this is mandatory. It's just additional knowledge. More literature, but same rule. Good. This is a rhetorical question. Whether you have any questions, we'll cut the recording now. Then we'll restart the recording and do lecture 1. Then we'll make a coffee break and then we'll go for the Q&A. So then you can ask all types of questions that you might have. So thank you very much for the first part.